Hi YouTube, this is KWall0307 with my generation of the Atlanta Braves team. That's 1986 through present day. I feel that the Atlanta Braves were for a long time America's team because they were on TBS and everyone watched them. They're my second favorite team. I used to watch them when I was in Georgia. They're my brother's favorite team. They're my dad's second favorite team, and everyone used to watch them. They were very successful. So here's my lineup for my generation Braves. Thank you. For my manager, there's no really other choice but Bobby Cox. Bobby Cox was so influential to the Braves during my time. He led them to 2 World Series, countless playoffs, so many division series in a row. I'm not sure, I think it's like 13 in a row. My biggest memories of Bobby Cox is just like the picture. He's always getting tossed out because he would fight for his players, and I respect that. He's just like the all-time greatest. Bobby Cox is just the best Braves manager, period. Not just of my generation, but of any generation. And he's up there with the all-time greatest managers of all time. And that's why my manager of my generation is Bobby Cox. Thank you. At first base, I have Fred McGriff, the crime dog. The Braves got him from the San Diego Padres for some minor leaguers that never panned out. He was so influential to the Braves winning during their 90s run. He had a lot of seasons with 30 home runs. He has a National League All-Star MVP. At the strike-shortened season, he had 30 home runs, so he could have hit 80 for all we know. He's just the power of the Braves of that time, and he was very good. He's called the crime dog because of Scruff McGruff, because McGruff and McGriff sound alike, so I guess that goes together. But all these reasons is why my generation first base is Fred McGriff. I hope you agree. At second base, my generation Braves, I have Mark Lemke, basically because of his defense. I think second base has always been a weakness for the Braves. They've never really had a great power second base, except for now with Dan Uggla, but he hasn't been on here long enough. Mark Lemke and Jeff Blauser were a great team. They would always do the double plays, but he would hit for a good average, but he wasn't really a power guy, but they didn't really need him to be. And that's why he's my generation second base. My generation shortstop is Rafael Furcal. I was contemplating doing Jeff Blauser or Rafael Furcal, but I ended up picking Rafael Furcal because of his defense. He would always make diving plays. He would jump over people for the double plays. He had a cannon for an arm. I remember he did the first ever unassisted triple play. He hit for average, and he was fast. And that's why he's my generation shortstop. My generation Braves third baseman is obviously Chipper Jones. I contemplated Terry Pendleton for a while, but I picked Chipper Jones because of his offense, his off-the-field presence, and his leadership skills. You could tell that third base is his because when he went to left field for that one season, third base was a weakness for the Braves. That's why he needs to be third base all the time. He's a Hall of Famer. He's MVP of the league. He hits for average and home runs, and that's why he's my generation third base for the Braves. My generation catcher for the Braves is Javier Lopez, or Javi Lopez. You can ask my dad for any other nicknames I gave him. He just hit for power, he hit for average, he controlled the pitching staff so well. He's great defensively. He was my favorite Brave. I even wrote to Javi Lopez one time and he replied back to me, which was so awesome. I considered Brian McCann as well for catcher, but he hasn't been doing it consistently longer than Javi Lopez, and he's very injury prone. And that's why Javi Lopez is my generation catcher. My generation left fielder is Ryan Klesko. He was great offensively. He was a power horse too. He hit a whole lot of home runs. Defensively, he wasn't that great. Just ask my brother or my dad. But he was flexible. You could put him at first base or any of the corner outfielder positions. I wouldn't put him in center because he's really bad at defense, but in the World Series that they played the Cleveland Indians, he had a whole bunch of crucial home runs that made them win, and that's why he's my generation left fielder. My generation center fielder is Andruw Jones because of his defense. I just remember him would always make like diving catches. He wouldn't be afraid to like jump the fence. He was fearless when he was playing. He was so young and he won so many Golden Gloves like in the picture. Plus he was pretty good offensively. He hit for average pretty good. He hit a home run every once in a while. He was good. Both the Joneses were a great team, like a power punch duo. And they made pitchers scared. And that's why he's my generation center field. My generation right fielder is David Justice, pure on the fact of offense. He was great offensively. I remember growing up watching him. He was a great power hitter. He was great before Chipper Jones took over, and he hit a lot of home runs in the World Series, like Klesko did against the Cleveland Indians, which led to their victory, which is kind of ironic because they traded him to the Cleveland Indians, but he's just my generation right fielder. My generation closer is Mark Wohlers. I have a lot of memories of him closing big games. I remember it was Pedro Bourbon setting him up and Mark Wohlers ending the deal and ending the game. I was considering John Smoltz, but I was going to use him as starter, and then John Rocker had one good year and then he opened his mouth and ended his career. I know I'm picking a lot of people from the same era, but they won a whole bunch of division titles, and that's why that team was just so dominant. So I'm glad to have lived through it. And Mark Wohlers is definitely a great closer, and that's why he's my generation closer. My generation ace is Greg Maddux. There's not a bad word you can say about Greg Maddux. He's just a workhorse. He's been the Cy Young numerous times, strikeout king. The Braves got him from the Cubs, and he just blossomed as a Brave. He's a great teacher, like Mike Maddux. He takes young pitchers under his wing. He's a future Hall of Famer, and defensively, he is one of the best pitchers of all time. Defensively, he has so many gold gloves. He's just the best Brave of all time, and that's why he's my generation ace. My number 2 pitcher is Tom Glavine. As like Greg Maddux, you can't say anything bad about him. He's a 300 game winner. He has Cy Youngs. He's just dominant. And that's why the Braves won so many championships. They had the dominant pitching staff. I mean, you have Greg Maddux as the ace, and then your second pitcher is Tom Glavine. How could you go wrong with that? There's nothing wrong with Tom Glavine. He's a future Hall of Famer himself. He's just great. His greatness. He's my brother's favorite pitcher, favorite Brave, and that's why he's my second starter. As like Greg Maddux and Tom Glavine, you can't say anything about John Smoltz bad. He's dominant. He's the only pitcher to have 150 saves and 200 victories. He's a future Hall of Famer, Cy Young himself. There's so many great things you could say about John Smoltz. He's recovered from numerous surgeries to be successful. The Braves initially got him from Detroit Tigers for Doyle Alexander, and you know how that turned out. He just blossomed as a Brave, and to be number 3 on this list and be so dominant, that proves this pitching staff was so dominant. And that's why he's my number 3 starter. My 4th starter is Tim Hudson. The Braves got him from Oakland, and Oakland knows how to groom starters. Unlike Barry Zito, Tim Hudson blossomed as a Brave, but he had some injuries. But he always overcame the Tommy John surgeries or whatever surgeries he had. He's a great pitcher. I mean, he's had 20 games win seasons, and he's just the ace of the Braves right now. He's just great. To be number 4th on this list is pretty impressive. He's the only current Brave on my list, so that tells you a lot. He's really good, and that's why he's my 4th starter. My 5th starter is Steve Avery. He was a great young sensation for the Braves. He had a lot of talent. I think they pushed him too hard, but he had a lot of injuries that plagued his career. He learned from the greatest pitching minds of the 3 that I just named, Smoltz, Glavine, and Greg Maddux, but injuries got to him, and he just did a downward spiral, but he earns 5th spot on my list because he was so dominant for a little while. He even had some wins in the World Series over the Indians, and he was really great for a short period of time. And that's why he's my 5th starter. Okay, YouTube, that's my Braves, my generation team. Like, comment, and subscribe. Your comments of what you would change, what you would add. If you agree with most of my picks, if you disagree, that's fine. And you think I forgot, but I didn't. Here's my basket. I'm not looking. Whatever team it is, I'm going to do my generation team. And here it is. The Yankees. Can't believe it's the Yankees now. Wow. Okay, I'm going to be doing the Yankees, my generation team. That's completely random. My dad had nothing to do with this, so yeah. I'll be doing this shortly. Have a great day.